Okay, here we go. Right, thanks for having me, everybody. Well, you didn't get a choice, so it was already on the schedule, but thanks for showing up anyway. My name is Carson. I'm with the textile team, and I'm going to talk to you today about Tableland, which is something we just launched yesterday, pretty much. And I'm going to go through the website, which we just launched like at 3 a.m. the night before, so hopefully everything works smoothly, but thanks for coming to the talk. So I'm going to talk a little bit about building infrastructure for dynamic composable metadata. So this is what kind of how we're thinking about Tableland. It's that dynamic composable metadata layer for Web3. And so really the whole idea here is we can build a lot of Web3 interactions and primitives with something that most or a lot of devs already know, SQL or SQL, depending on what camp you come from. And so Tableland is really not another database, it's just a Web3 native relational data model or a relational table model. And so it really is like a network that we're launching that allows creators of NFTs and dApps and people who are creating content for the metaverse to build and compose things using relational tables and SQL plus smart contracts. And so Tableland is going to be a brand new token-enabled protocol. It's going to power the next generation. This is the pitch part, right? It's going to power the next generation of experiences on Web3. And the cool thing is you probably already kind of know how to use it. The API is tiny. It creates, it selects, it updates in a language that a lot of devs already know. So it's so straightforward, it's retro, right? You just connect to the network, create a table, select from the table where something happens, and you get back data, and you can interact with that. But it's also so Web3, it's the future. So there's a lot of sort of Web3 primitive type things baked into how you interact with things with SQL. So here is how you create an ERC 721 compliant metadata table for an NFT drop. And you create a table, every row is a NFT metadata compliant row, and then you can query the gateway to get back the metadata in exactly the way that you're expecting for your NFT. So that's a pretty quick little example. And if the demo gods are favorable today, I will live create a table, mint a table, and we'll play around with it and see how that works. So as I said, in Tableland we speak SQL, and it's just tables. We even don't even really call it a database. It's just a bunch of relational tables that are minted and available for interaction on, right now, EVM chains, and in particular this week, Rinkeby testnet. So for ETH Denver, we're launching this MVP. It's really all about testing out the APIs and getting hackers to interact around with them. So we have a single validator gateway with all of our RPC APIs. You can create address or token-owned tables that are ERC 721 compliant NFTs themselves on Rinkeby, which you can use to deploy dynamic composable metadata for NFTs and other stuff too, but that's what we're talking about today. And it's pretty straightforward, it's pretty easy, and I'm going to show you the beautiful landing page that we made because you might as well look at it. We spent a lot of time thinking about it, and then we'll do a live demo on the page. And then I'm going to ask you to look at the docs because I spent a lot of time on the docs recently as well, and the least you could do is take a look at them and click around. So we'll do that as well. But first, join us, right? We're going to go, and I'm going to see if this works. No, just open it up on this screen. That's okay. Let's see. I'm going to turn my back to you for a second. I'm going to jump over here to this page. Oh, this is going to be hard. Okay. Here we are, Tableland. Tableland.xyz. Oh, this is going to be tricky. Tableland.xyz, go there, and then scroll down, and you know what I'm going to do? We're recording this live. I'm going to see if I want to unmirror the displays. Nope, not going to do that. Okay. I'm just going to do this live. How do I unmirror the displays? maybe, excellent. Okay, here we go. Sorry for the hiccup. Okay, so it's beautiful. It's a landscape. It's the Tablelands. You're going to love it. Check it out. And then we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom here, and we can just try it out. So this is an actual live terminal that's connected to the Tableland API, and so you can actually we can actually play around with it and do and create some live tables. So we'll just connect to the network, and that will pop up some MetaMask. Password. Oh my goodness. Boy, oh boy. You can see all my passwords here in front of you. That's great. There we go. All right. Refresh. Connect. There's a tiny, tiny little thing here. I said the demo gods would have to be favorable. They were not. That's okay. We're connected. Okay. We're going to create a table right here in front of you. All right, so I'm going to create a token. I'm going to call it my token. It's going to be an ERC 721 metadata table, and I'm going to create that. I'm just going to give this tiny little thing to sign again. Confirm that. Okay. So while that's going on, what's happening is basically we're minting an ERC 721 token on the Rinkeby network, and this table is going to be populated, and it's going to be owned with access control rules tied to my particular address. So what this means is I'll be able to mutate that table, I'll be able to add rows, I'll be able to do all sorts of mutating things, and then anyone else will be able to query that table. So it works really nicely for NFTs. Okay, so I've created a token and or a table, and it's going to be called myToken125. So I'll replace the name that I have over here, and I'm going to insert some data into this table. All right, so I'll just paste that in. So what I'm inserting into here is I'm updating the name, the ID of the token, and all sorts of things. It's the first token. It's going to be called Little Bobby Tables. It's got an IPFS hash right here, and the description for this table is hello from Little Bobby. So I'm going to do that, and lo and behold, we inserted a row, and now I can select from that and get back some results as JSON. And if we look at the rows here, we've got a table with Little Bobby table here and an IPFS hash. Now, that's, yay, it worked, right? Thank you, this guy. I'll give you a coffee later. So that worked pretty well. And now I want to showcase why that's kind of a useful thing to do. So if we go to the gateway and we render table 125, I think I said it was, and I access the particular row ID for that token, when I hit enter here, it says row not found because I did 3, not 0. There. So we get back ERC 721 compliant JSON. And so I didn't update the attributes, but it's got hello world from Little Bobby. We've got the image here and the name and all that fun stuff for the token. The other cool thing about that is that the table itself is also an ERC 721 compliant table. So if I render the table itself over the gateway, I also get back ERC 721 compliant data. And I can make that bigger so you can actually see it right there. So what we have is basically a table, which itself is a token that can be traded and exchanged and minted and burned, that contains metadata for tokens themselves. So you can launch an entire NFT platform or an entire NFT drop using tables, and then actually buy and sell those tables. And then to make that table immutable, we can just burn the table. So we basically just transfer it to a null address, and now it can no longer be mutated. So we went from mutable NFT metadata to immutable NFT metadata. And you can store all of the sorts of things that you normally would imagine that you would in your metadata. So I said, so that's pretty cool, fun stuff. I said that you should check out the docs, and I'd really like you to go and do that later, but I'm also going to just put them in front of you so that you'll have to look at them. So if you're all interested in hacking and building dynamic NFT stuff with Tableland, I highly recommend you check it out. It's pretty easy to get started, and we've really tried to hyper-optimize the docs for the hackathon. So if you're at all interested in hacking and playing around, come check it out. It's very easy to get early access. Just jump into our Discord, and that way we trick you into coming and joining our community before you can even start doing stuff. So gotcha there, but it's easy to do. And there's lots of ways to jump into the docs and play around and tinker a little bit and break things before you really fully commit. So as long as you have something like MetaMask or a browser thing available, you should be able to play around with it and interact. And so for the folks that are hacking, I did want to highlight a couple things in the docs today. And then I'm going to leave a little bit of time at the end for Q&A if anyone's interested. But we do have a bunch of pretty cool tabs here. So we have a bunch of information about grants and in particular bounties that we have available for the hackathon. So if you jump in there and follow the links through, we've got a bunch of grants and funding that are available through Tableland. So for the hackers out there, this is a great opportunity. There's some really cool ones, including a partnership with Lit Protocol. That one, I really, really, really want to see some groups doing that. So if you're at all interested in Lit Protocol and Tableland, come see me afterwards and we can chat about some ideas. We've also got a bunch of ideas for you. If you've come here and you're like, I really want to build something, but what should I build? I know, I'll ask Carson. And Carson will tell me to go to this website, which has a bunch of Tableland use cases that you could hack around on. And if I saw some of these use cases come up, they would be high on my list to get some bounties. So check them out and play around. We also have a couple of pretty cool examples. So we have some demos that our team has actually built. One is built on top of the Loot NFT project. That would be really cool. I think it's a lot of fun. Tableland is kind of like fine-tuned for this type of building metadata, sort of building metadata and new experiences on top of existing NFTs as well. So check that out. There's some demos there, and then there's the classic to-do app, which you obviously have to have. But then we also have a couple of playbooks, and these are ways that you can do sort of like common things that you might want to build using something like Tableland. So here's the NFT metadata example that I kind of just went through with you now. Hey, you just want to do a key value store? Well, Tables turns out to be pretty good for that too. So there's lots of ways that you can do that, and we'll be flushing these out more as we interact with folks here this week. So dig in there, jump into the quick start, play around with the JavaScript SDK. Heck, hit the JSON RPC APIs directly. We've got demos and examples that are all copy-pastable, easy stuff. Well, it's complicated, but you know, we try to make it easy. And then there's a CLI tool too, if you're of that irk. So play around, have fun, and check it out. And yeah, I'm not going to bother jumping back to the slides because the last one was just thank you all for coming very much. Come and see me afterwards if you want to talk about Tableland and your hacks. And yeah, if there are any questions. Oh, and a reminder that if this wasn't awesome enough for you, we have another talk Andrew's giving tomorrow that goes into a bit more details about like what is Tableland and some of the motivations and things about it, rather than just the go build stuff talk. So that's tomorrow, same room. Andrew, Tableland. Come see us then too. Thanks very much.